Touch the Lake, welcome to Tibet This Week, where we bring you news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Let's have a look at today's headlines. His Holiness the Dalai Lama concludes Ladakh visits, heads to Dharamshala. His Holiness congratulates Prime Minister Narendra Modi on India's historic Chandrayaan-3 landing on the moon. Contra Costa County, California marks His Holiness the Dalai Lama's birthday as Peace and Justice Day. Exiled Tibetans mourn demise of former Tibetan political prisoner Sonam Gyalpo. United States announces intention of imposing visa restrictions on PRC officials involved in forced assimilation of Tibetan children. Tibet Policy Institute holds 9th Young Tibetan Research Scholars Conference. Office of Tibet in Taiwan organizes Summer Tibetan Culture Program for Tibetan children. Central Tibetan Administration calls for Europe-based Tibetan youth to attend Geneva Forum 2023. His Holiness the Dalai Lama concluded over a month-long stay in Leh, Ladakh and left for New Delhi this morning. The people of Ladakh thronged the streets and roads leading to the Leh airport with flowers and white scarves and prayers for His Holiness' long and healthy life and his next visit to the region. On Wednesday this week, His Holiness the Dalai Lama has written a congratulatory message to the Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the successful landing of Chandrayaan-3 on the moon. In the letter, His Holiness the Dalai Lama said, "The successful landing of the Chandrayaan-3 is a tribute to the people of India who have devoted their attention to scientific development since ancient times," and he applauded the head of the Indian Scientific Research Organization and his team for their dedication that has made the mission possible. His Holiness rejoiced in India's great triumph and hoped that ISRO continue to strengthen its leadership role in further scientific endeavors. In a joyous occasion for Tibetans and the sign of His Holiness the Dalai Lama's undying positive influence, the Board of Supervisors of Contra Costa County, California has passed a resolution declaring His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama's birthday as Peace and Justice Day. This initiative is materialized through the efforts of Tibetan activist and VTAG member Tenzin Raundun and Pujung Tsering of International Campaign for Tibet. A sad news coming from Tibet, former Tibetan political prisoner Sonam Gyalpo, who has served a total of 17 years in Chinese prison, have passed away on 16th August. Late Sonam Gyalpo was first sentenced to 3 years in Trapji prison on 27th September 1989 for his involvement in peaceful demonstration of 1987 in Lhasa. In July 1993, he was re-arrested on the pretext of causing political offense, where he was confined in Nyara prison in Shigatse and Sanghip prison in Lhasa for a year. His third detention took place on 28 August 2005 by a group of Chinese State Security Bureau officers who confiscated pictures, videotapes and books containing His Holiness the Dalai Lama during a random search in his house before the run-up of the 40th founding anniversary celebration of the so-called Tibet Autonomous Region. Alleging him of endangering state security, he was jailed for 12 years in Trapji prison and was later shifted to Chushur prison on 3rd November 2006. In total, he has served 17 years in Chinese prison. He was born on 14 June 1955 in Kongar County of Loga and was a permanent resident of Lhasa. The exiled Tibetan community expresses condolences to his bereaved family members and pays their respect for his selflessness and lengthy commitment towards the freedom of Tibet. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced that U.S. State Department is taking steps to impose visa restrictions on officials of the People's Republic of China for their involvement in forcibly assimilation of more than 1 million Tibetan children in government-run boarding schools in a press statement issued on 22nd August 2023. Secretary of State raised the U.S. State Department's concern over the consequences of the PRC's assimilation policies. The press statement read, "These coercive policies seek to eliminate Tibet's distinct linguistic, cultural and religious traditions among younger generations of Tibetans." The U.S. officials, including Matthew Miller, the spokesperson for the U.S. Department of State, and Undersecretary Azra Zia, the U.S. Special Coordinator for Tibetan Issues, also echoed similar concerns and condemned the PRC's forcible assimilation of Tibetan children in government-run boarding schools. On Tuesday this week, around 30 young Tibetan research scholars, including some of the Himalayan region, gathered at Sara College for Higher Tibetan Studies to participate in the 9th Young Tibetan Research Scholars Conference organized by the Tibet Policy Institute. The inaugural session was presided over by the Speaker Khenpo Sonam Tempel of the Tibetan Parliament, Secretary Kama Chuing of the Department of Information and International Relations, Tibet Policy Institute's Director Dawat Sering and Principal of the Institute Pasang Sering. TPI's Director Dawat Sering, during his introductory remarks, stressed on the importance of proactively countering China's narrative of Tibetan history and their consistent attempts to have the global community legitimize its legal occupation of Tibet. Secretary Kama Chuing called on the researchers to pay close attention to the formulation and implementation of various policies in Tibet by the Beijing government. He further emphasized putting in the efforts to expand the availability of their research findings into different languages. To the researchers from the Himalayan region, he asked for their cooperation in the preservation of Tibetan religion and academic heritage. The Speaker of the Tibetan Parliament spoke about the cruciality of improving the quality and productivity of research while reiterating the importance of examining the historical situation and the developments taking place in China's policy of Tibet. During the 3 days of the conference, the research fellows presented and discussed their research findings on the current Tibet situation in terms of Chinese policies and leadership, religion, culture, language and economy under the Chinese illegal occupation of Tibet. Office of Tibet Taiwan, in collaboration with Taiwan-based Tibetan Association, Pinto Kosong Kumpeling and Gyungling Kosok Changchupling monasteries, organized a 3-day summer Tibetan culture program for Tibetan children aged 3 to 18 years old in Taiwan from 18 to 20 August. Office of Tibet Taiwan's Buddhist philosophy teacher Tenzin Namte Rinpoche and Kosok Kumpeling monasteries Chukpo Rinpoche explained to children the basics of Buddhism, such as offering the deities water, incense, butter lamps and prostrations. The children, along with their parents, visited the local Tibetan Buddhist monasteries in Taiwan and sat for a Buddhist philosophy class during the 3-day program. A total of 21 children took part in the program aged 4 to 16 years old, from which there were 12 boys and 9 girls. The Central Tibetan Administration is calling the interested Tibetan youth based in Europe to attend the Geneva Forum 2023. The interested applicant must apply online by 1st September. This initiative aims to empower Tibetan youth from the discussions and interactions that will take place during the 2-day forum. From the pool of applicants, a limited number of 20 Tibetans will be selected based on their statement of purpose and resume. For more details, please log on to www.tibet.net. The Geneva Forum is a Central Tibetan Administration organized international forum on human rights held in Geneva, Switzerland since 2018. It was conceived in the backdrop of the 3rd cycle of the China's Universal Periodic Review. Therefore, the first Geneva Forum was held on 2nd November 2028. The 5th Geneva Forum will be held on 26th to 27th October 2023. The central theme this year is Human Rights in Decline, regions under China, where a number of human rights experts, researchers, advocates, defenders, scholars and policymakers will deliberate on various topics under the central theme over the 2 days. The selected group of Europe-based Tibetan youth will have the opportunity to attend in person and interact with the guests, speakers and other participants during the forum. Accommodation and travel expenses will be covered by Central Tibetan Administration as per guideline that will be emailed later to the selected applicants. That is all the news for this week's edition of Tibet This Week. Thank you for watching Tibet TV.